Well, hello and a very warm welcome to our Facebook Live. So glad that you can join us. My name is Ashok Gupta, and as you know, every Friday we have our Meaning of Life Live where we talk about a particular topic of resonance in the world. And I'm so glad that you could be with me today to join us. And as you know, we're all about three things. Transforming ourselves, transforming our communities, the people around us, and finally, helping transform the world. What a glorious vision that is for all of us to be involved in. And that's why we do these Meaning of Lives every Friday at this time. So, the petition that we're going to be having this week, as you know, every week we have a petition by a website called behaviours.org, who have 50 million members all over the planet. And today's behaviours petition is actually to bar a particular member of the European Parliament who, fittingly, because of our subject today, has said that actually, I should read it out here, said that women should earn less because they are weaker, smaller and less intelligent, which is obviously complete rubbish. And so we have a petition. He's also far right. He's made lots of gestures and things which totally are out of order. And so that's our petition for this week, to him to be reprimanded or removed from the European Parliament for some of his very racist, sexist and downright unbelievable views. So please do sign that petition on our Facebook page. You'll see the petition on our Facebook page there. And a colleague of mine, Francis Goodall, is having a special set of workshops and interviews as part of the Women's Wellness Council. So womenswellnesscouncil.com. And you can find out more information about all the lectures and things which may be very relevant to what we're going to be talking about today. So today we're going to be talking about our topic, which is Rise and Shine. Share your comments and things like that. So we want to know your comments, your shares, your likes, and that gives us some feedback and makes it more interactive. So I'm just going to pull it up right now. Okay, so if you'd like to let us know where you're tuning in from around the world, that would be great. Yeah. Okay, so if you'd like to put your name, where you're tuning in from, then we can give you a bit of a shout out. And please do share this particular video feed with your friends, your family, on your Facebook pages, etc. Because obviously we want to get as many people involved in the content that we're going to be covering today. Okay, so whilst you're just doing that, let's talk about really the vision of what we can potentially have if we had a gender-neutral world. See, at the individual level, if we're going back to the principles of our film and the app, at the individual level, we're made up of love, we're made up of bliss. We're naturally happy, naturally loving inside, and naturally unified with everyone around us. And that unification, that energy, has two aspects, a female and male energy. And unfortunately, those biases mean that we're not fully expressing those different energies. Yeah? So at an individual level, we want to have a vision where no matter what gender we happen to be born into, that doesn't hold us back from fully expressing ourselves and also connecting back to our true nature. So that's one vision that we have, that there's nothing that holds us back just because of our gender. The second is that in society, we start valuing these two aspects, men and women. And we have equal numbers of women in top leadership roles around the world. Wouldn't that be fantastic? At the moment, if you look across politics, board members, we're getting about 50 to 20% of people, sometimes it's more in certain countries, who are represented by women in terms of the numbers in those particular areas, which frankly is better than it used to be, but there's a lot more work that obviously needs to be done. And this isn't about inferiority or superiority. If your pancreas is having a bad day, does your liver say, oh, you know what, the pancreas is having a bad day, the pancreas isn't as powerful as myself, the liver, therefore I'm really proud and happy about that? No, we're a holistic being. Every single organ, every single person on the planet, every single gender has a contribution to make, and we all benefit if everyone is doing well. So where are we so far in terms of our progress? Before we go into that, let's just see if anyone's tuning in. So yes, we've got Christina from Seattle. Welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. Glenda, happy Friday to you too. Susan, tuning in from Newborough, New York. I think that's how you spell it, or say it. Vivian from Brentwood in Essex in the UK. Judy from Hebden Bridge, welcome. Elizabeth from Munich, nice to see you. Kiran Jaginda, thank you for joining. And Rebecca from Freiburg in Germany. So lots of people. Jess from Melbourne, Australia. So it shows you have such an international crowd who are interested in these types of conversations. And we are the change makers. We are part of that conscious change family. When we tune into this information, we evaluate it, process it, and start being a gift to the societies that we live in, to the people around us, then we start making this content practical and we start living it and making a difference. And that's the exciting idea that I want to give you today. So where are we so far? Well, a lot of progress has been made in terms of the legal aspects. So women's rights, certainly in developed countries, have begun to improve, or very much improved. The laws and the governing sexist discrimination have meant that actually women have been able to progress, certainly in the last 20 or 30 years or so. But that doesn't mean we want to become complacent. We have to still keep campaigning, joining the marches, making sure that we're still making that difference. And that's incredibly important. Because laws can only go so far. Yeah? So there's two things. There's the external change and internal change. In every situation, there's always an outside change and an internal change. So much progress has been made in terms of the outside changes, the laws, the rights that women have. Obviously, there's much more work to be done in developing countries as well. But in terms of internal biases, they still remain. And those internal biases have been changed because of a lot of research, which is showing that men and women truly are equal on so many different measures. So, for instance, in business, they know that if you have a board which is purely men, and you have a board which is comprising of some women, companies that have women on their boards outperform those companies without women by 53%. Yeah? We now know that in education, girls are actually beginning to outperform boys, certainly in the UK, and I believe so in the US as well. So we know that those old prejudices, those old biases that people have, some of them still linger, have been totally blown out of the water by the latest research. It's important that we keep reminding ourselves of those particular bits of research. But what is it that we need to improve? Well, I do find that actually some things are beginning to get worse because of those biases. And those biases are being made by us by some of the depictions of men and women in TV and film, for instance. Yeah? Believe it or not, on every measure, whether it's the chief protagonist of a film being male or female, or whether it's the number of female or male leads within a film or within a TV show, it's still about 20-25% in terms of the bias between men and women in TV and film. Yeah? And unfortunately, one of the big aspects that's increasing some of that sexism, that misogyny, is the widespread availability of misogynistic pornography, sexist pornography, violent pornography, which is making an impact, especially on young people. Music videos and video games also are beginning to shape young people's minds, but not just young people, older people as well, in terms of some of those sexist views. We've come so far in the last 50 years or so, 100 years or so, in terms of women's rights, but those internal biases are beginning to magnify, in my view, because of some of these medias that we're experiencing. And of course, trolling. We know that women are far more likely to be the victims of trolling than men are. And unfortunately, the anonymity of the internet is giving men free rein to actually criticize and put down women and express those sexist comments that they may not normally express in day-to-day society. Yeah? And unfortunately, sexual harassment in schools, in universities, in companies is actually increasing, which is terrible. And eating disorders are beginning to increase as well, especially amongst young teenage girls. Because of these internal biases which are being exploited by the media, by society. Yeah? And it's up to us to really recognize this and to make a difference. Because if it's left unchecked, it's a ticking time bomb in terms of a new battle of the sexes. So where do our unconscious biases actually come from? Well, they come from our parents, our teachers, the media, government, and those other biases that I've just mentioned in terms of pornography, TV, and film. And we all have them inside, so we may believe that we are very objective, we're not sexist at all, But those unconscious biases, unfortunately, still linger within us. And some of those biases, which are very important for women to be able to progress further, are those biases around if a man is behaving in a very female way and showing female characteristics. Oh, he's a wimp, he's a sissy, he's not a real man. And if a woman is displaying male qualities in the workplace or at home, she's being, and pardon my French, a bitch, or she's being a tomboy. And so we have those unconscious biases within us that unfortunately are not allowing women to progress as much as they could in those leadership roles. And as I mentioned in that 2-minute trailer that we had for today, we need more women in those leadership roles, because I do believe that a lot of the problems that we're facing in the world, climate change, inequality, racism, all of these different aspects, actually, if we had more women in leadership roles, I believe that we would begin to heal some of those ruptures that we're beginning to see in society. So we have to keep challenging those biases, keep challenging those stereotypes within ourselves and the people around us. But it isn't about policing people. And so this is the new thing that I want to talk about today. It's not about policing comments or policing what people are saying. Because sometimes we become over-enthusiastic to emphasize that men and women are exactly the same. And the debate that we need to analyze is, are women and men exactly the same? Or is it that we choose to give them equal opportunities? Yeah. And let me explain using a fork and a knife. Okay? So, imagine a man or male energies are a fork, and those female energies are a spoon. Yeah? Now, would we say that a fork is better than a spoon? That a fork deserves more leadership roles than a spoon? No. They both have their place. They both have their roles. Yeah? If you want to pick up some peas off your plate, you would use a fork to do that because it's better. You could still do it with a spoon, but there are some things that a fork can do slightly better. And in the same way, if you're going to have some soup, sure, if you really tried, you could eat some soup with a fork, but actually, a spoon is slightly better at performing that function. So when we try to make men and women equal and the same, unfortunately what we do is we create even more biases because, and this is the key point, we live in a spoon society. Yeah? We live in a society which has been created by men, designed by men primarily. And so if women want to do well in what we quote-unquote might term a man's world, we're trying to make women like men. We're trying to make trying to make the spoon like the fork. Yeah? The world has been designed by the forks, as it were, the men, the male energy. And we're trying to make the women like the forks. But instead, we need to celebrate those differences. And whether those differences come from nurture or nature is a debate. Now, I believe that men and women, their differences are partly biological and partly down to the nurture. So I think it's both. But I'll leave that up to you in terms of your own viewpoint, your own decisions. Wherever those differences have come from between men and women, if we try to say men and women are the same and we want to make everyone have equal opportunities, we often are trying to make women like men. Instead, can we celebrate the complementarity between the two? We need both forks and spoons. They're both types of energy. And not only that, each energy lives and resides within us. So as a man, we are both a combination of male and female energies. As a woman, we are both a combination of male and female energies. And instead of trying to make women succeed in a male energy-dominated environment, instead, let's try and nurture and develop female energy across the board, whether it's within men, whether it's within women. And I believe that is the solution to these unconscious biases that we're facing in society. And that is actually how to promote female energy, promote women to the top, by valuing what it is that they bring uniquely to the system. Yeah? So in society, things like wars, climate change, measuring GDP, all of these things are male systems or being decided by men. But the transformation will happen when we value female energy equally. And we talk about Mother Earth, don't we? The issues that we face in the world right now are down to that lack of sustainability on this planet. And we talk about Mother Earth, we talk about those mothering energies, because we intuitively recognize that there are some aspects of energy which are more female, about nurturing, sensitivity, the long-termism, the relationship, the interconnectivity that we have. Yeah? So, whereas a man, if he's picking up some peas off a plate, it's very goal-orientated, specific. And an example of this is the way we measure GDP. We measure GDP every year and say that is our sign of progress, which is a very left-brain male way of looking at it. Whereas actually some countries are beginning to embrace gross domestic happiness, which is more a female trait, about what is the holistic way of measuring our well-being and our progress, rather than a very simple target. Yeah? So we really, in society, need to value those female energies and create leaders who are a balance of male and female, and promote women to those roles, promote female energy to those roles, so we can have a more holistic way of solving the big problems that we're facing on our planet. The second aspect of us celebrating that complementarity is at the individual level. So at society, to transform society, we want to value both these energies. At the individual level, we want men to value that female energy within themselves. Yeah? If you think about a flower, or a flower bud, in fact, a flower bud contains both female and male energies. And when that flower bud blooms into a flower, we may see it as a male flower or a female flower, but actually it contains both the organs of male and female. Yeah? Although we associate flowers as being female, they actually contain both male and female parts. And in the same way, for us to fully bloom, to fully blossom, to achieve our potential, connecting to both energies within ourselves is incredibly important. And in the film, we talk about going back to our true, loving, blissful, united nature. And in order to do that, connecting with both aspects is incredibly important. And if I think of all my teachers, my spiritual teachers, my teachers that have helped me in my life, actually, I wouldn't describe them as male or female. I would describe them as people who've had a balance and been holistic people, rounded people, who have had a beautiful combination of both male and female energies. Isn't that incredible? That we have that within us. A bud doesn't need anything extra in order to bloom. It has all the knowledge, all the power within itself. It just needs the sunlight. And that sunlight is the knowledge that we are made up of male and female energies. Each of those energies is equally valuable. And for us to create a sustainable life, a worthwhile life, an inspired life, we can nurture both energies within ourselves. And each of these energies, male and female, is good according to the situation. So if we look at, for instance, child rearing, there are many things that children pick up in terms of male energies and female energies. Yeah. And if someone's a single parent, those of you who are single parents, you'll know that you've inevitably had to develop the opposite energy within yourself. See, I made it not opposite, complementary energy. You've had to develop the complementary energy within yourself to nurture your children. Yeah? And as an example, the suicide rate. The suicide rate amongst men, I've got these all around. The suicide rate amongst men, as in being the fork, is much higher than it is in women. Because, naturally, most men, and these are generalizations, have difficulties in connecting with their emotions, connecting with their deeper nature. Yeah? And so, what we can do is get men to nurture some of those female energies, to become more connected to it, rather than seeing it as a weakness. And then they become stronger when they become connected. Maybe it's self-development courses they go on, whether it's regular meditation. Each of us has that potential to bloom, to blossom fully. Yeah? Similarly, in women, in young teenage girls, for instance, the levels of anxiety and depression and anorexia and eating disorders is spiraling. Did you know 1/3 of young girls are displaying symptoms of mental illness, especially anorexia? And the reason is social media, Facebook, and especially Instagram are getting women to compare themselves against each other. And actually, in those instances, some of the more male energies or energies we typically associate with men would be very valuable to nurture within our young girls. Yeah? So I'd like to ask us now, let's make this more interactive. What kinds of energies, female energies, are you grateful for within yourself or people around you? Yeah? So in the comments box, please do share some of the traits, some of the female energies that you've noticed in yourself or in those people around you that you're grateful for, that have inspired you, that have uplifted you. Because today is all about celebrating those female traits. So yeah, if you'd like to share those on the comments section. And please do share what you're watching. So you can share the video on your personal Facebook pages, on groups that you're members of, because we really want to get this important information out there. And please do press the like button, the love button. We want to get your appreciation in terms of what I'm saying. So Charla is saying, I sure have #single parents. So single parents intuitively know that they need to be more of a balance of male and female energies when they're bringing up children. Yeah. Dina sharing, my compassion and intuition. Yeah, so something that's associated more with female energies is compassion, intuition, some of that sensitivity, the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. You know, the progress that we've made over the last century in terms of technology and finance and clothing the world and feeding the world has been fantastic, but it's often been male energies that have made that happen. Now we live in a more interconnected society, interconnected world. It's those female energies which are now becoming more important. Yeah? Davina saying warmth and kindness. Absolutely. Yeah? Rihanna, gentle strength. What a beautiful idea. That idea of gentle strength instead of aggressive strength. And one of my great teachers said, men have the ability to inspire to fight, but women have the ability to inspire to unite. Yeah? Diane saying, listening without judgment. Yep, kindness and sensitivity. So these are traits that we associate more with women, but we want men to nurture and develop them, and they will become stronger. And equally, there are some traits associated with men, such as, and once again, this is a generalization, but I've noticed that men tend to have more of a deeper assurance in their abilities. Yeah? They tend to be naturally more assertive. Yeah? Tend to be more independent thinkers, but more goal-orientated, more left-brain types of qualities. And women have those as well, but once again, they seem to come more naturally to a man. But both of these energies are important for us to become more rounded human beings. And if I share my experience, you know, I certainly was a very male energy kind of guy, growing up for sure. And I noticed in myself that created a lack of balance. And for those of you who know, I developed ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, because there was a lack of connection with my own emotions and my own well-being. It's all about a very left-brain, achievement-orientated type of person. It kind of overwhelmed my entire personality. And it was only when I understood that and let go of the condition, healed myself, and became a coach and therapist, I understood some of these complementary qualities that I hadn't really investigated. They were seen as weak when I was growing up. And only when I became a therapist, and I think when you become a coach or therapist, you naturally have to either take on or uplift within you those female traits of putting yourself in someone else's shoes, kindness, compassion, open and deep listening. All of these traits are incredibly important if someone wants to be a coach or therapist. And that, to me, has been a wonderful expression. I feel it's been amazing to just open up, allow my heart to open up, to be more open to those feminine energies or feminine qualities. And often regular meditation and breathing also opens us up to those qualities. Because when we do meditation, or experience meditation, we don't do meditation, we experience and be in those moments, we notice that we go naturally back to our deeper selves, our authentic selves. And our authentic self is not male or female. It is made up of those qualities. It is our conditioning that creates this idea that because we're a man, we behave like this. Because we're a woman, we behave like this. Of course, there are some things that come naturally to us. Yeah? And so I go back to that point that for us to actually uplift society, uplift the planet. Rather than trying to make women like men to create a 50-50 society, instead, we want to nurture and develop those female energies and value them so that men value them and naturally women rise to the top. Yeah? That's one way of helping that glass ceiling. Of course, the laws and the rights and all of these things are complementary to that. So, anyone else want to share some of those qualities? So, Diana's saying, I'm very grateful for my ability to connect, to listen to others, and be caring. Benjamin saying, empathy. Absolutely. Empathy is a quality which is so important right now. For instance, the racist and the homophobic views that we're seeing expressed in society right now, especially in the US and now with the rise of the far right in Europe, those qualities often occur when we don't have friends or family from those genres. So we don't have people who are gay, or we don't have friends who are from different parts of society, different races. And we can't have that empathy, but as soon as we connect with those people, we develop a sense of empathy naturally for those around us. Yeah? Judy saying joy. Yeah, interesting how men and women experience happiness with different kinds of words. Yeah? Kathy saying, I believe our society has taken men away from their natural child nurturing abilities. Yeah, interesting. So how do we make this practical? Yeah? In our families and communities, I believe there are some things that we can practically do. Because it's great to talk about these things, but I'm a very practical person. So how can we transform our communities, transform ourselves, and transform society with this knowledge? I believe that the first thing we can do is holistic child rearing. So for those of us who are mothers, fathers, uncles, aunties, or teachers, caregivers, can we encourage our children to play with gender-neutral toys? Can we encourage conversations with our children and our teenagers that get them to nurture the complementary quality that perhaps they're missing? You know, boys, can we encourage boys to open up about their feelings, open up about how they view other people in the classroom? How have they helped other people around them at school and at home? Yeah, developing some more of those female qualities so we can encourage our young boys to blossom. And in the same way, girls, the conversations we're having with young girls, can we encourage them to let go of society's pressures around how they look and instead give them some more of that male energy around more of a self-assurance in their abilities and a confidence in who they are? Yeah? So holistic child rearing is incredibly important. And in our education system, actually working with teenagers on gender issues is so important. So if you're a campaigner, if you're connected to your school, it's about really encouraging relationship conversations, gender studies, citizenship, making sure that those biases that are in society are not feeding through into our young people. Yeah? And it's not just young people, it's everyone around us. Yeah? And finally, something that's incredibly important, something which is a ticking time bomb, is reducing children's access to pornography. So did you know the average 11-year-old, 50 to 60% of the average 11-year-olds have accessed pornography, which is a crime. It's terrible because young minds are very impressionable. Yeah? They're very it's easy to condition young minds. And a lot of pornography that they're accessing is violent, misogynistic, sees women as just objects. And it is shaping young minds. It is shaping the way young people view each other. And girls as well, when they're viewing this type of pornography, are getting an impression of what the role of women is. And it's highly, highly biased. It's in the minds of men who are creating primarily this type of pornography. Once again, it's not about me saying pornography is bad. It's about children's access to that pornography, which, when their minds are young and impressionable, is incredibly dangerous, both for girls and boys. So are there ways that we can make sure that there are internet filters there, or we can encourage schools or our education systems to come up with ways that young people cannot access this kind of thing, or at least have open conversations in schools, in our sex ed classes, about what they are viewing? Yeah? And at the individual level, how can we rise and shine? Well, firstly, we want to value those female qualities within ourselves, not seeing them as weakness, not seeing them as something negative, something to hide from, but instead fully blossoming and expressing those female energies within ourselves. Yeah? And not only that, nurturing it and balancing it with other people around us. So with our husbands, our partners, boys that we see around us, how can we nurture the female qualities within them? And likewise, for men, how can we develop and nurture those female qualities within ourselves? And vice versa. Are there girls around us where we can obviously see there are some male energies that we can nurture within them? And of course, regular meditation. Regular meditation helps us go back to our authentic, deep nature, which is actually, in my view, androgynous. It's not male or female. We are a beautiful, complete, authentic combination of both energies. It's just that when we are born and we go out into the world, we have a natural inclination to one of those energies which comes to us. And if we primarily operate from that, then we are giving in to society's conditioned biases. Then we can't fully bloom and blossom. So let's ask another question. What would you like to do right this week that can celebrate female energy? Because that's what it is. It's International Women's Day. If we want to make a difference in ourselves, in our communities and society, how would you like to celebrate female energy this week? So from everything that we've covered, or perhaps there's some other things that you'd like to share with me, how can we celebrate that feminine quality? Yeah? Diane's saying, how would you get very masculine men to develop their female energy? They would probably object. Well, you know, I have seen some very tough masculine men when they truly are listened to, when what is hurting them and paining them at a deep level is access. When they truly feel someone listens to them, you'll be surprised at how easily they're able to open up. So I'll leave that to you. I'll leave that to your creativity in terms of how we can open up very masculine men to those qualities. Often very masculine men do open up when they're around children. Yeah? So if they've got children themselves, some of those more female qualities tend to naturally come forward. Yeah? Diane's saying, too much of anything is probably not good. Compassion could take some of the too much empathy. Okay, these things are always about balance. So when we have compassion, when we have empathy, we also include ourselves in that compassion and empathy. There's no point having love for others if we don't have love for ourselves. So putting ourselves first as well and having that nurture, compassion for ourselves means there is a balance and we don't get used by other people around us. Yeah? Okay. I'm just seeing if I can just access another comment. Great, so in conclusion, what I'd love to just share with you are these ideas about talking to our young people, about making a difference in the education system, about nurturing those qualities within us and valuing those female energies. And of course, on the outside, we still go on the marches, campaign for women's rights, campaign for equality at the top. Because when we balance out that leadership, it can make a massive difference. It can inspire us to transform the planet, to be a bigger and better version of ourselves, when we balance those energies within ourselves, within the people around us, and those in society. This is the grand calling that is happening right in this moment, that is so, so important. It's a conversation that we're not having. And I hope that you felt that inspiration today. So, what I'd love for us now to do is sing. That's what we normally do at the end of our Facebook Lives. And I'm not going to be singing to you. This is a shared experience. We're going to be singing together. So, I just want to let you know also that next week, next Friday on Meaning of Life Live, we're going to be looking at smartphone addiction. So addiction to screens, our smartphones, social media. What that addiction is about, how that addiction arises so we can become more aware of it in ourselves, and how we can break that addiction for our health and happiness, and why that's important. So it's going to be a very fun, inspiring live session next week, so I hope you can join me for that. Okay, so I'm just going to move the camera. So once again, please do like, share, and love what you're hearing. It's a very, very important conversation. And please do share it on your wall, on the groups that you're parts of, with your friends and family. So I just want to share here. Peggy saying, this week I'd like to try and make a bit more time to learn something new about women and share it. Fantastic. Judy saying, I sang I Am Woman with my singing group on International Women's Day. Brilliant. Yes, there were so many songs that I was thinking of singing, most of them sung by women. So I can't quite hit those notes. But I hope you'll join me today in the song that we're going to be singing, which is all about upliftment and lifting ourselves up, whether we be men or women. So I'm just going to move the camera, so if you just bear with me one moment whilst I just move the camera now. And whilst we're doing that, if you've got any suggestions about what you think we should be covering in our live sessions, then please feel free to contact Jess, who's our social media expert and moderator on the forums. Please contact her and give her your views on what you think we should be covering in our Facebook Live events. That would be wonderful. Okay, so we're nearly there. If you just give me a second. So today we're going to be singing Lifted by the Lighthouse Family, one of my favourite uplifting tracks. And this is all about when we're coming up against difficult times, whether we be men or women, how can we uplift ourselves, stay centred, and achieve our potential in life? Okay, so I hope you're ready to sing this with me now. Okay. So I hope you're all singing at home.
Really love to be alone without all the aching pain and the April showers. But it ain't long before I long for you, like a ray of hope coming through the blue. When it all gets dark and then the whole thing falls apart, I guess. Doesn't really matter about the rain, 'cause we'll get through it anyway. We'll get up and start again. We can be lifted, lifted, lifted. We can be lifted from the shadows, lifted. We can be lifted, lifted up today. Lifted all the way. You and I forever, baby, lifted. We could be lifted, lifted. Yeah, yeah. It's undisturbable, the peace we found in a bright blue space up above the clouds. Everything is understandable. You don't have to say anything too loud. When our luck runs out again, walk back down to solid ground. I wouldn't say I'm mad about the rain, but we'll get through it anyway. We'll get back to the stars again, 'cause we could be lifted, 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 yeah. We could be lifted from the shadows, lifted. We could be lifted, lifted up today. lift it all away. You and I forever, baby, lifted. We could be lifted, lifted. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So once again, please do share this with young people, with your friends and family, the people who can be lifted up by this content we've been through today. We can be lifted, we can be lifted, we can be lifted, yeah. We can be lifted from the shadows, lifted to new horizons, lifted. You can be lifted, we can be lifted, yeah. We can be lifted from the shadows, lifted. When it all gets dark enough, don't really matter about the rain, lifted.
So once again, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it today. Please do share this content with everyone. Please do like, share and comment. Next week we'll be talking about how we can overcome internet addiction. And all that's left for me to say is, let's celebrate that female energy and let's transform the planet. Thank you and goodbye.